China stands tall, a giant on the world's grand stage. But look a little closer and you'll see a different page. Behind the glowing skylines and the tech that rules the night, the dragon hides its inner devils far away from sight. Is the mighty monolith just a carefully crafted illusion? Or is the ruling party facing a quiet, deep confusion? Today we strip the armor, we decode the silent beast to see why the biggest threat to China is brewing in the East. Since 1949, China has had a simple rule for survival: absolute control. From Mao Zedong to Deng Xiaoping, and now Xi Jinping, these three leaders left an indelible stamp on the nation. They didn't just steer the ship, they owned the ocean. For 7 decades, the Communist Party's authority has been unquestioned, but absolute power breeds absolute paranoia. And as history shows, keeping the throne safe often requires cutting off a few heads. Enter the modern purge. Recently, Xi Jinping ousted top military brass, including General Zhang Youxia, vice chairman of the Central Military Commission. In total, 9 top military lawmakers were wiped from parliament. Why? The military's own newspaper called them a toxin that had to be incised. That's a polite way of saying, cut out the infection. While officially labeled as anti-corruption, experts see this as a surgical strike against growing internal opposition. The monolith is getting a makeover. We've seen this movie before. Back in Mao's day, the infamous Lu Shaoqi episode disguised a power struggle as routine discipline. Today, history is echoing. Inside China, there's a massive deficit of trust. Why? Because a deeply pessimistic economy is colliding head-on with a paranoid leadership. The goals set by the top are being doubted by the ranks. When the money slows down, the whispers speed up. The anti-corruption excuse, it's wearing thin. Now let's look at China's global scorecard. They poured a fortune into Venezuela, expecting major influence. But when push came to shove in 2026, China folded. They completely failed to counter US President Donald Trump's assertion that the Western Hemisphere belongs to America alone. Unchecked investment resulted in zero geopolitical leverage. They deployed the dollars, but their influence was denied. It turns out buying real estate doesn't automatically buy you the neighborhood. The embarrassment doesn't stop in South America. In West Asia, China failed to checkmate the US or prevent the attack on Iran that killed Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei. Worse, the conflict forced a real-world comparison between Chinese and Western weaponry. And China's tech didn't look so tough. The carefully crafted illusion of global military equality was shattered. When tested in the real world, the dragon's fire looked more like smoke. Here's a mystery. A Chinese cargo ship recently crossed the Arctic Ocean to Europe in just a fortnight, beating the normal 3-week Suez Canal route. Normally, Beijing would blast this as the Grand Polar Silk Road. Instead, total silence. They quietly downplayed it as mere supply chain stability. Why? Because they didn't want to ruffle US feathers over interests in Greenland. China backed down. They traded a global megaphone for a mute button. This strategic shyness is bizarre because technologically, China is flying. They are riding a massive wave of turbocharged innovation. We're talking electric vehicles, pharmaceuticals, logistics, and artificial intelligence. They are miles ahead of the curve. Yet diplomatically, they are hiding behind closed doors. They have 21st century tech but are playing a tethered, fearful game of defense. It's the ultimate irony. They are coding the future of AI while acting too afraid to speak up in the present. So how do we solve the puzzle? Look at the duality of the dragon. On the outside, tech supremacy and the facade of an unquestioned unified monolith. But on the inside, deep institutional paranoia, top-tier military purges, and a shocking geopolitical retreat in places like the Arctic, Iran, and Venezuela. China isn't a solid block of stone. It's a high-tech vault with rusty gears on the inside. The outward strength is real, but the inward turmoil is rising. There's an ominous phrase describing Chinese politics right now. The wind in the tower heralding a great storm. The sudden military purges, the sweeping economic gloom, the global backing down, none of this is a coincidence. Experts believe these are frantic preparations for an anticipated internal crisis. Xi is battening down the hatches. The cracks in the communist monolith aren't just cosmetic, they are structural. The storm isn't coming from the West, it's brewing from within. So, what does this mean for the world that we share? A China distracted might actually care. Caught in a web of its own inner devils and fright, this benign behemoth is losing its appetite to fight. For an Earth currently tossed in chaotic crosscurrents and seas, a quieter dragon puts the whole globe at ease. Perhaps we return to an era, a gift from the sky, that old peaceful echo of Hindi Chini bye bye. The monolith's cracking, the storm is unspooled. Thanks for watching. Stay curious, stay schooled.